So by the time you moved back to Hillside, west of Wichita, how old were you? About?
It was south of Wichita, 5 miles.
South?
On Hillside.
Uh-huh. And you were about, what, 15 or 20?
No. I was in the 3rd grade when we moved from Oklahoma up to Kansas.
In the 3rd grade?
About 8, probably.
Yeah.
Something like that.
And I suppose in those days that was a small school.
Well, I went to Carlton School. That was over on Oliver, which is a mile east of Hillside and a mile south of us. I don't remember how many we had in school, but I'd say 30 or 40 at least. Maybe more. All 8. One teacher taught all 8 grades.
One-room schoolhouse?
One-room schoolhouse, right.
I'm familiar with those. I started a one-room schoolhouse west of Enid, Oklahoma.
Yeah.
So in the 1st grade or 3rd grade, I suppose there was, what, 4 or 5 of you?
Oh, I can't remember for sure, but I think there was more than that.
Doesn't really matter.
I just don't remember.
Man teacher or lady teacher?
We had both. The first one I went to was man teacher, and the last ones I went to were women teachers.
So did you go through the 8th grade at that school?
I did.
And then did you come to a different location?
I went to Derby.
For high school. You know, I grew up at Milton, Kansas in the 40s. And I don't remember Derby. Was it a fair-sized town by then?
I think about 300 or something like that.
Yeah.
350. It was a small town.
Boy, it's not a small town anymore.
No, I guess not.
It's got about everything in the way you'd want in stores, and I guess the biggest high school in the state of Kansas.
Is it?
I went to a football game there with a boy, the grandson-in-law that graduated there. And I'm sitting there with him and his brother and his father, and I'm looking out there, and my God, they had nearly 100 kids suited up for football games. And I said, whoa. I didn't even know Derby was that big a place. And they said, we're the biggest high school in Kansas.
They might be.
And I said, well, they're a little bit too big. And they said, well, you see the reason right out there. They said they want to be the best football team in the state, so they want to be the biggest and have the most choice of athletes.
Yeah.
So a few things have changed. But when I grew up, I remember playing in Clearwater and Anthony and some tournaments in Wichita. But I guess we just were underclassed. We never got around to the big city of Derby.
We played Garden Plain, Goddard, Cheney, and we I think played 8 or 10 schools around.
Did you go out for athletics in high school?
Oh yes, I played football and baseball and basketball.
All right. What was your specialty in baseball?
Well, I was an outfielder, but I tried to pitch a little bit.
Me too, but I was a better outfielder.
I tried to pitch a little, but it didn't work too good.
And you're a tall man for that day and time. Were you the center in basketball?
Most of the time, yes.
Yeah. It's hard for kids to imagine now there's so many tall kids. But even when I was a young man coaching, if you had a man your height as a member of your team, he was probably the biggest guy you had, and he's going to be the center. Football, I'm going to guess you might have been a pass catcher.
I was an end, yeah.
As a would-be coach, I would look at you and say, yep, there's an end. I sure enjoyed the sports. I bet you did too.
I enjoyed playing. We just played football 2 years, and then they kicked it out because we didn't have a big enough school to field a real good football team. We wanted a good football team, so they kicked it out for a few years.
Well, they sure have brought it back in this day and age.
It's back.
It's really back. And your family, you're one of how many children?
One of 11.
And were you the oldest?
That's right.
And how many of you are still right here in this area?
Well, there's 8 of us living yet, but there's 2 in Emporia, 1 in Augusta, and 1 in Wichita, and 2 here. I've got a sister in California and a sister in Washington. And the rest of them are all in Kansas. Right.
But it is strange with transportation and so on changing so much. Our families are scattered all over. You're pretty lucky to have as many of them close as you do have.
That's right. I got a wonderful family.
Yes, you do. The ones I know.
Really wonderful.
And that says a lot about your parents.
Yeah.
As well as each of you children. How many grandchildren and great-grands do you have, Elda?
Well, I've got 5 grandchildren and 4 great-grandchildren.
All right. Anything else you want to say while we got this thing on?
No, I don't guess so.
Well, I sure do thank you for being willing to let me talk to somebody that knows a lot more of the history of this area, and I was particularly interested in the Oklahoma area since I was born in the Oklahoma Panhandle. So, thanks again.